Anita here, and welcome to day 18, wow, of the Inktober challenge. I'm starting to lose count again of the days. But I have to say that I'm enjoying Inktober recently, at least, much better than I did a few days ago. A lot of this has to do with the fact that I'm recording on my phone still, so today's video is also recorded on the phone. You guys don't seem to mind, and I am really enjoying this. It's so much faster. Yesterday's video rendered in 40 minutes. 40! I left it to render for the night like I usually do, and usually there is a little pop-up window that says how much time elapsed since, you know, I started rendering, and it's at 40 minutes! I was shocked. I was so shocked. Of course it makes sense because the footage is lower quality, but all in all, does it make much of a difference? You know, I don't think so, at least not to me. So I'm continuing with it and I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah. So today's picture is a ragdoll witch. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to call her in the title of this video, but the idea was that this witch is a rag doll. I'm kind of in that creepy, cute mood still. I don't know where it's coming from. I really don't know. It's maybe I'm preparing for Stranger Things. I'm also listening to very weird music lately because I have some songs from Rick and Morty, and they can be pretty dark. I don't know, I just feel like a bit, you know, darker pictures, in my case, darker. This is how dark it gets, because, like I've mentioned yesterday, I am practically, I am afraid of scary things, really, a lot. My imagination can't handle it, I'm afraid of it, so, you know, I don't do anything scary. I don't watch scary movies, with exceptions, but I'm in the mood for creepy cute. So, a while ago I went, actually, you know what, I'm gonna tell you that story in a second. It has to do with the picture, so don't worry. But in the meantime, I'm gonna tell you that this picture is a lot about hatching. I didn't plan on it. I wanted to do just a little bit around the edges, and it sort of kind of went out of proportion. It just went its own way. Because I really didn't want to do like the black background that I like to do so much lately. I wanted to just step away from it and do something different. And since I haven't done any hatching on camera like so much, I figured, you know, it's a very boring thing to watch, I feel, because it goes pretty slow. Majority of this video is actually me just hatching away, but I feel like I really wanted that bit of a texture. To me, this kind of hatching made in ink, it kind of adds to that creepy cute feeling. So I'm just basically going around the lines on the outside, the little frame, which I don't know if it comes through, but it's supposed to be like wool, just coiling around her. Because this doll, like I've mentioned, it's a rag doll. I have been looking at, on Pinterest, at a lot of rag dolls lately. Kind of my guilty pleasure, because I really want to go into doll customizing again. But of course, I'm not gonna allow myself to do that right now. So what I do instead is just I peruse the Pinterests. Pinterest is like my temple. I absolutely love Pinterest. It's like, everything that's beautiful is on Pinterest. So that's what I'm doing, and I've seen a lot of rag dolls, just DIY, one-of-a-kind dolls. And in addition to that, like I wanted to say before, I went, while visiting my friends, we went to a toy store, just because they wanted to get some Legos. We are a little bit addicted to Legos here. And so we were checking stuff around, and I really didn't feel like getting a set, because not only are they expensive, but I feel like Lego sets are a little bit too, well, there's too much of a theme going on I like the blocks, you know. I like to be freely creative with Legos, and so having a set is not exactly my thing. So I was just looking around, you know, checking the dolls. I really want to get a Monster High doll because I see so many customized dolls and I just want to try it. But while I was looking at the dolls, one really caught my eye, and it was this... I need to check the name. I have it standing here next to me. Lalaloopsy. From what I understand, it's this... there is a series on Netflix, apparently, of Lalaloopsy dolls. And the idea is that this is like kind of like a fashion doll, but in a rag doll style. And anyway, look it up, and you will see exactly what I mean. This doll is just what I would draw. The body type, the general, maybe not feel of it, but just the way when I hold it. It just reminds me so much of my drawings. And so I couldn't help myself but to just get it. And I got a medium one and a few minis. They are not that expensive, so I was really happy. And now they're just standing here, making me really, really happy. If I remember, I'm going to take a picture and post it on Facebook. So you can check my Facebook if you want to see what I mean. But yeah, so in the meantime here, I'm done with the frame, and I'm done with the general shading around the character, the hatching. And now I really wanted to I felt like taking it to another level. And I've mentioned that I just want to draw a plaid pattern everywhere. And so I figured I'm just going to draw it in the background. Why not? I was a little bit afraid it would be too busy. And that's why I wanted to get a much lighter shade of gray. Just much lighter ink wash. It's hard to say because it's all shades of gray, you know? But a much lighter shade. And so that it wouldn't stand out too much. And then I'm basically just using my paintbrush to do it, because even though I have a Pitt pen, and you could see me there kind of like thinking about using a Pitt pen, but that Pitt pen is a little bit too fluffy. It has a fluffy tip because I've used it for many years now. On a lot of different projects, and I am not exactly the gentlest, is that a word? The most gentle, you know, person when it comes to my pens. I tend to really abuse my pens. While I'm really delicate when it comes to painting, with pens is just scratching. One of the reasons why I can't use a Copic multiliner is because it broke on me. The tip broke on me after one paint, well, yeah, not even one picture, it just, after a few lines, I was really disappointed. And so I'm doing another transparent, well, skirt, I suppose. I don't really know where I was going with this. It's just like a lower half of this little dress she has. What I wanted to achieve, I wanted to really show the legs, the little, you know, bum and attached legs, just show that they are not real legs. They're just rag doll, like, you know, doll legs. So I didn't want to make a short dress or a pants. I just wanted to really show the shape of the legs. And so I figured, you know, having a little bit of a transparent layer over the legs would show off what I wanted, but it would add, you know, it would still make her fully clothed. And that's another thing, that whenever I make any dresses for dolls, I really love transparency and lace, and I'm not really worried that, you know, she's not exactly covered. So this is kind of a nod in that direction. Poor dollies. So yeah, so I'm continuing the pattern. As you can see, I was really like not afraid, but nervous, because it's not exactly the most interesting thing to watch, this process. But I assume that a lot of you guys are actually just listening to what I'm saying and painting in the background by yourself. And those of you who are actually looking at what I'm doing, yeah, I'm pretty sure that you're not gonna be blown away by the, you know, variety, because it's just lots of hatching. One of the reasons why I was so reluctant to do any kind of hatching or pen only artwork on camera, because I don't feel like it makes for the most interesting content. But yeah, that's just my opinion, of course. So here I'm adding the colors, the flat washes to the rest of the doll, and I had a bit of a problem with that, because while I was pretty convinced what I wanted to have in the background, like I knew for sure what I wanted, even that plaid pattern, even that was kind of sort of planned. I knew I wanted some kind of pattern there, but I didn't really know where to take the character. Because as I've said yesterday in the video, I am not exactly confident enough yet to do any kind of different shading rather than the simple, well, the tonal value difference. I don't know how to explain it. But I'm not very confident to go beyond, you know, either black background or dark background, light character, dark character, light background. I'm really not confident to go beyond that. And of course, I'm curious if I can pull it off. And I suppose this can be called, you know, one of those, you know, curiosity-inspired pieces, because I was really curious how I would pull off the character with this background that's not exactly, it's not either light nor dark. It's kind of in the middle because it has a lot of hatching, it has a lot of white space. There is a lot of contrast going on between the black and white. And so it was really hard for me to actually figure out what I wanted to do with the character. Now, I knew I wanted some patterns on the character, but because the background was so busy, I was really reluctant to add any. And so I'm just being very, very cautious here. As you can see, I'm kind of just, the first layers are very, very light. Now, I knew I wanted the character to be mostly light. I didn't want it to be too dark. But once I was adding those layers to her skin, to the hat, the legs, the dress, it just all kind of blended in together. And at first, I really had a problem with that because I really like where this picture was going, and sometimes when I'm satisfied with what I see, I really don't want to push it too much in case I'm gonna mess it up. But you know, this is one of the parts of the challenge for me for Inktober, is that I want to learn, and the best way to learn is of course making mistakes. So there's always going to be that one mistake happening for sure. So at that point, I've decided to just take out the black ink because I've decided, okay, if the character is not dark, the background is not dark, I need to have a little bit of interest. And so I've decided to make the bunny, a little bunny ragdoll, black. And one of the reasons why I've decided to make that bunny black is because in one of my previous pictures with the owl and the big shiny owl, the girl in that picture, the witch, she's holding a mug. And because I didn't put enough contrast, that mug completely disappears. It's just something so forgettable that, you know, and I wanted to add it. It's just this coziness scene of a witch cuddling with her owl. She has a blanket around them and a cup of steaming hot tea or coffee or something. And so the fact that it really upset me that I forgot about it, that I didn't pay attention to it. And so I wanted to make sure that every detail in this picture and in every next picture would be, you know, there would be contrast. There would be enough so that it's visible. So once I've put in that black bunny, because I had that point of reference, the dark point of reference, it was a little bit easier to decide what tonal value I wanted to add to every other part of the picture. So I decided, okay, I really want that dress to be light. That was the idea. So that means that if the bunny is black, it means that her hair needs to be somewhere in between the darkness of the bunny and the lightness of the background, somewhere so that it's kind of stands out. But because technically this hair is made of wool, you know, I needed to create some kind of strands happening. But that's usually with hair anyway. It's not really that much of a difference. But the only thing that really caused me a bit of a trouble was the fringe, because the fringe was much more distinctively woolly. It just, you could see that this was yarn hair. So I'm adding a little bit more shading and just basically playing with the darkness and the lightness, just adding, I had, I think, 2 little wells of 2 different shades of gray mixed up. And eventually I've added a 3rd one, which is this one over here, which is the darker one, even darker one, just because I felt that I needed a little bit more extra contrast. I needed 1 more shade. And this one tied everything together for me, because I had a bit of a problem with the hat. I didn't know what to add to the hat, and that usually means that I have not enough tonal value, at least to me. Because if I added something of the same shade as hair, for example, it would disappear. The hat would disappear. The hat being completely white, as if to fit the dress, also didn't seem right to me. So it's just basically a trial and error and trying to figure out, you know, what the proper values are for everything. I'm still learning that, so, you know, it's a completely new way of thinking for me. Because normally I just think about colors and patterns, and I don't really pay attention to how dark or how light they are. If it looks nice in my eyes, the color combination, then I'm happy. So actually thinking about tonal value is a pretty new experience to me. I'm actually really happy with how the legs came out. That's what I meant. Well, I knew I wanted to add pattern. I wanted to have pattern on top of the legs, and I wanted to have pattern on top of the dress, the lower part of the dress, the transparent part. But I've opted out of that idea because I felt it would be just too much. There is a pattern in the background, pattern on the legs, and then pattern on the dress. I think it would just be too busy. So I left it the way it was, and I was really happy with that. No regrets. And then I've added just a little bit more deeper shades to some of the darker parts. That hat being darker in the, you know, the shading parts being so dark, it really made the face and the hair pop. And I was really pleased with that. And so, you know, we are closing to the end right now. I'm actually noticing one thing, that while I'm working with all the tonal value, it sounds so fancy, I'm noticing that I use much less white details. There's usually just a little dot here or dot there, a bit of a shiny maybe, but not as much as I would normally use in a watercolor painting. And I'm very curious, because to be honest, I'm ready to stop working with ink. I'm enjoying it, don't get me wrong, but I'm just really curious how this monthly exercise affects my watercolor paintings. It's just, I'm really curious if there is any difference. So now I'm adding a little bit of a last. I really wanted to have that hat dark at the bottom, just to have the hair pop even more and to kind of tie in with the darkness of the bunny. I always try to repeat whatever I'm adding. The one detail should be somewhere else in the painting. And I've also turned her eyes in a bit of a similar way to yesterday's witch, just to have them just a little extra creepy touch, you know. And here I'm adding the few little white details. It's just, as you can see, they're just a little bit. I'm fixing the brim because I messed that up. And there's just the cheeks, the eye dots, and the eye on the bunny, and that's it. And it always surprises me how little actual gel pen I'm using. I was expecting to buy actually an extra one during this challenge. But that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave me a comment. I love your comments. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!